Hello, this is Tim. Recently, I had an opportunity to be in Washington, D.C. and talk to the Government Relations Director for the American Association of Christian Schools, Jamison Coppola. In talking to Jamison, he gave a very clear presentation about some of the tactics and arguments that people are using to try to undermine the debate and the very solid foundation of morals that our government was founded upon. Please take a few minutes to listen to what Jamison has to say. But before that, would you please let me show you some of the sites that I was blessed to be able to see on my recent trip to Washington, D.C.? Okay, Jamison, you've got my attention. Let's talk about Darvo. Tell me what you got.
Darvo, I think is how it would be expressed, it's an acronym for this pattern of behavior that is noticeable when you deal with people who, maybe I would characterize the person as not fully submitted to objective truth. All right. This is a human tendency. We all have it. When we receive correction, our immediate feeling, our immediate impulse is to be like, oh, no, that can't be right. You're making an accusation against me that I've done something wrong or inappropriate. Our natural reaction is some form of defensiveness. I think most reasonable people then get past that to say, well, let me evaluate the person that's making the accusation. The Bible talks about references as iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of a friend, right? So a sincere person has that as a fundamental part of their maturity, of their character development. So that when somebody makes an accusation against me, I think, okay, well, this person has shown care for me, they've shown friendship towards me, so maybe there's something to it. Because I know I'm not always right. I know that there are times when I actually do things that are wrong and I actually need correction from somebody else, and I prefer to have correction from somebody who is a friend and loves me, because it's a lot harder to take correction from somebody that I already see as an enemy, perceive as an enemy. Okay, well, Darvo explains a reaction that goes beyond kind of the normal human defensiveness we have because we don't like to be wrong, into a pattern that causes you to believe that these people never think they're wrong. There's nothing you can tell a person that is in this mindset of them being wrong. And psychologists will say it's because they have such an image of themselves that they cannot be wrong about something. They're so ingrained in the fact that I must be right. I'm so insecure in the truth and so blind to who I am that I can tolerate nobody telling me I'm wrong about anything. A certain childishness, a certain immaturity, we might say. And so Darvo is this pattern that people have in that realm where they will seek no correction, and it stands for this. The first thing you'll notice in somebody that is practicing this is they will they'll deny immediately. I didn't do that. No, you're wrong. You didn't see that. No, there's nothing that you can tell me that will cause me to admit that I was wrong in that. Sometimes we'll use the term, psychologically speaking, gaslighting. Like, oh, no. What was really happening with that? You just and they'll say something completely false and try to convince us that what we saw, what we experienced, what we're feeling, our reality, if you will, is completely wrong, and their reality is the real reality. Okay, well, that first step, any honest person can say, oh, I've probably done that before. I've felt defensive, but then I realized that the other person was right and I was wrong. Okay, well, a person that's experiencing this, or this is their pattern of behavior, won't get to that point. The next thing they'll do is they'll attack, right? They'll say, and a lot of times that attack, I think of it in terms of it's an attack on your character, right? And so they'll say, actually, you're the one that is bad in this situation. Sometimes they will accuse you of bad motives. They'll say, I know why you want to think that I'm the bad person is because you're actually the bad person trying to make me feel bad about myself. Shame on you for, da 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 da. And so there's an accusation in that. There's an attack against you in it. Not only do they deny your reality or your correction, they will attack you for making the observation. How dare you, type of thing. And then the last part of that is Darvo, is they reverse the victim and offender. And what they'll do is say, I can't believe you're such a terrible person to have accused me of this. You're actually a really bad person for putting me in this position. How dare you even think that I could be guilty of what you're accusing me of? And so it's a pattern where, I would say that people use that will not be reproved. The Bible talks about people hardening their neck, that they will broker no understanding that they could be possibly wrong in that situation, and they will fight to the death, or they will institute that fight to the death to prove that they're right and you're wrong. And ultimately they will they'll say to it's usually other people, like, look at this terrible person, they're victimizing me by saying I'm the bad person. Let me tell you exactly how they're the bad person. They have bad motivations. They did something unforgivable in thinking that I could be wrong about this and saying it out loud. And so that's where the term cry-bully comes from, right? A cry-bully is somebody that plays on people's natural empathy, plays on people's natural sense of justice, but gaslights those people into believing that they're being victimized by somebody else who's just trying to articulate a truth. And I find that this happens with people who have bought into the idea that the only truth that exists is my truth, right? So anybody that has an objective truth perspective at some point has to admit, if I'm looking at the truth above me and I'm trying to follow the truth above me and I'm trying to measure my life by a truth above me, a higher truth, a moral truth, an ethical truth, and I expect other people to follow that same truth, if I go to them and say, hey, listen, you agree with me about this absolute truth, right? You agree with me about this higher truth. If they say yes, then we can have reconciliation, because one person can say, oh, you're right. I didn't do what I say I want to do. I didn't submit to a higher truth. And that is offensive because I did it against you. I injured you in what I said or what I did or my actions, my behaviors. And we can agree that one of us is right, one of us is wrong based on a higher standard, and then we can give forgiveness and we can have reconciliation. We can have restoration. Usually people that believe in higher truth will say, okay, I did violate that standard, and you're right. I take your side against me. We both agree the same truth, and so it's very easy for me to say, oh, rats, I hate it when I mess up. But you've pointed out how I didn't follow that truth, and so I'm taking your side against myself. And I can say to my past self, why did you do that to Tim? That was wrong. And then I can say, Tim, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And you can say, that's okay, I forgive you. And then I think there's some amount of committing to not doing it in the future, right? Say, hey, listen, because we both believe this higher truth, I don't want to be that person that violates that. And so we can have reconciliation, we can be restored with each other. But somebody that doesn't believe in higher truth and has been told that their inside opinion of themselves, their inside view of the world is the only view of the world, they can't do that. They can only feel offended that you would actually come to them and try to violate their truth with your truth. And I think that's what puts them into that mode of denial, defensiveness, attacking, and then ultimately, painting you or accusing you of actually being a bad person, a bully, if you will, victimizing them, trying to assert your truth as opposed to their truth.